A nation divided. The backdrop of the Vance-Walz debate. The stage was set, the lights were hot. Millions of Americans tuned in, their living rooms transformed into front-row seats for a political showdown. It was Senator J.D. Vance representing the Republican ticket against Governor Tim Walz standing with the Democrats. More than just a vice presidential debate, this was a microcosm of a nation grappling with its identity, its future, and its very soul. The stakes couldn't be higher. With the presidential race locked in a near statistical tie, the pressure fell on these two men to sway undecided voters and energize their respective bases. From the outset, it was clear that this would be no ordinary policy discussion. This was personal. Vance channeled the anxieties of working-class Americans who felt left behind by globalization and cultural shifts. Walz sought to project an image of calm competence, promising stability and progress in a time of turmoil.
J.D. Vance, with his everyman demeanor and sharp wit, hammered home a message of economic populism. He painted a picture of an America where the middle class was shrinking, jobs were being shipped overseas, and families were struggling to make ends meet. The blame, he argued, rested squarely on the shoulders of the current administration and its failed policies. Inflation, Vance declared, was a cruel tax on working families, eroding their purchasing power and making it harder to afford basic necessities. His solution? Unleash American energy production, cut taxes, and reduce regulations to create jobs and spur economic growth. Vance reserved some of his harshest criticisms for the Biden administration's handling of the southern border. He argued that the influx of undocumented immigrants was straining social services, depressing wages, and contributing to a rise in crime. His message was clear. It was time to put America first, to bring back jobs, and to restore the promise of economic opportunity for all.
If Vance offered a return to a bygone era of American prosperity, Governor Tim Walz presented a forward-looking vision, rooted in investment, innovation, and tackling 21st century challenges. He acknowledged economic anxieties, but argued the answer lay in embracing a future built on education, technology, and clean energy. Healthcare emerged as a key point of differentiation. Walz defended the Affordable Care Act and accused Republicans of trying to dismantle it. Climate change took center stage as Walz emphasized the urgent need to address this crisis. He presented an approach based on investing in renewable energy and creating good-paying jobs in the clean energy sector.
Section 4, the Education Divide, Traditional Values versus 21st Century Skills. The debate over education revealed a fundamental philosophical divide between the two candidates. Vance argued that public education had become too focused on liberal indoctrination and not enough on teaching basic skills and traditional values. He decried an obsession with critical race theory and gender ideology. Vance called for a return to a traditional curriculum emphasizing patriotism and personal responsibility. Walz defended a well-rounded education preparing students for a rapidly changing world. He argued that 21st century skills went beyond reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Section 5. Immigration and Security. Walls versus bridges in a globalized world. The debate over immigration and national security exposed raw nerves reflecting deep divisions in American politics. Vance, echoing Trump-era rhetoric, painted a picture of a nation under siege by undocumented immigrants. He called for a border wall, increased deportations, and a crackdown on sanctuary cities. Walz offered a more compassionate approach, highlighting immigrants' economic contributions. He called for comprehensive immigration reform and a pathway to citizenship for contributing undocumented immigrants.
Section 6. Closing arguments. A stark choice for America's direction. As the debate drew to a close, both candidates used their closing statements to deliver impassioned pleas to the American people. Vance, his voice filled with urgency, implored voters to choose strength over weakness, prosperity over decline, and a return to the values that had made America great. He warned that the country was at a crossroads, facing a choice between two fundamentally different visions for the future. Walz, in contrast, struck a more optimistic tone, urging Americans to reject the politics of division and fear. He spoke about the need to come together, to heal the wounds of the past, and to build a better future for all Americans. He reminded viewers of his own record of bipartisanship and his commitment to working across the aisle to get things done. The debate ended as it began, with two candidates offering starkly different visions for the future of the nation.